how did you set up a hedge fund? A lot of networking, I guess. Yeah, a ton, yeah. So relationships are more important than product knowledge. I had work experience at a couple of great hedge funds, including Citadel. Also worked at Goldman Sachs, and I worked in the tech sector before that as well. So I was able to sell myself as somebody that understands finance, understands investing, and understands technology. But I networked like crazy. And one thing I learned actually is, and this goes for anybody trying to raise money. A couple things. Number one, don't ever pay somebody to raise money for you. It's a function called capital introduction, which prime brokerage firms offer you on Wall Street. Don't ever pay anybody. You'll never. It's a scam. Secondly, just because you get a lot of meetings doesn't mean you're gonna be able to raise money. And I say that because the way it works is, a lot of firms that invest in hedge funds and startups and venture capital firms, they have to take a certain number of meetings, the analysts do, every year. So you become a checkbox. Oh, did my meeting today. And I remember it really hit home for me when I went all over the world to raise money. And I had an offshore fund as well. And I went to Montreal and I got a meeting with the largest pension fund in Quebec called Caisse Dépôt, great firm. And it was supposed to be a half-hour long meeting, and it lasted 3 hours. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And so, of course, I asked for the sale. I always do, right? That's why I had the meeting at the end of 3 hours. And the person I met with said, well, thank you very much for your time. We'll monitor you, and maybe in 5 years, we'll look to invest. So you become a checkbox. And so I found that the best way to raise money for any company you're starting is by meeting with high net worth investors. And the reason I say that instead of meeting with a venture capital firm or big institution is because with high net worth investors, the sales cycle is very, very short. It's just one decision maker. There's no bureaucracy. And if you want, you can read my book for free. You can get it for free on my website, harounventures.com, on networking. It's a couple hundred pages, and I teach you all my tricks. And I was able to raise a ton of money using a lot of the networking tips I teach you in that book. And of course, I hired lawyers. The lawyer I hired, his name was Jim Grand from the Securities Law Group here in San Francisco. Great guy. And then what he did was he set up my offshore bank as well for my hedge fund, which was in the British Virgin Islands, BVI. It's cheaper than Cayman Islands. Yeah. And then I had what's called a master feeder set up. So I had an offshore firm, onshore, and they fed into my parent company. Yeah. And the offshore is just for people in different countries that wanted to invest offshore. You never give tax advice ever, but you give them the flexibility to be able to invest onshore or offshore for their own personal tax reasons. Yeah.